I stared at the note Daniel left on the kitchen counter this morning. Meeting ran late. Dinner in the fridge. Love you. Love you. 2 words that used to make my heart race now felt like a formality, like signing off an email. 5 years of marriage, and we'd become roommates who occasionally shared a bed. Our beautiful house in the suburbs, the financial security, the perfect life everyone envied, it all felt like a cage made of comfort. You're overthinking again, Sarah said across from me at the coffee shop. Daniel's a good man. I know he is. I stirred my latte, watching the foam swirl. That's not the problem. Then what is? How could I explain it? The way my pulse never quickened when I heard his key in the door anymore? The conversations that never went deeper than grocery lists and weekend plans? Do you remember Ryan? I asked. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Your ex? The musician who couldn't hold a job? That Ryan? He texted me last week. Maya. We just talked. That's all. I looked out the window, avoiding her judgment. But it reminded me what it felt like to feel something. Boredom isn't the same as unhappiness, Sarah said firmly. Daniel works his ass off for you. I never see him. He's at the firm until 9 every night. When we do talk, it's about his projects or whether we need to fix the water heater. That's called real life. It's called partnership. I finished my coffee, the bitterness matching my mood. Our anniversary party is Saturday. 5 years. And I feel nothing. Sarah reached across the table, gripping my hand. Don't do something stupid, Maya. But I already had. Ryan was coming to the party. I'd invited him 3 weeks ago during one of our late-night text conversations. I told myself it was innocent, just catching up with an old friend. Deep down, I knew better. I wanted Daniel to see us together. I wanted him jealous, angry, anything but the calm indifference he showed me every day. I wanted to feel important again. I wanted him to fight for me. Saturday arrived with that anxious flutter in my stomach I hadn't felt in years. I spent the morning setting up white roses on every surface. Champagne glasses lined up like soldiers, catering trays arranged perfectly in the kitchen. I was adjusting the dining room centerpiece when the doorbell rang 2 hours early. Mrs. Chen stood on my doorstep holding a casserole dish, her critical eyes already scanning past me into the house. The flowers are nice, she said, which from her meant they were barely acceptable. Though white roses are so common for anniversaries. Hello, Mrs. Chen, come in. I stepped aside, bracing myself. She walked through the living room with the air of an inspector. Where's Daniel? Still at work. He should be home soon. On his anniversary? Her disapproval was palpable. Though I suppose someone has to pay for all this. I bit my tongue. 5 years. And she still looked at me like I was Daniel's biggest mistake. I knew she'd preferred Jessica, his college girlfriend who became a doctor. Daniel came through the door at 4, his tie loosened, exhaustion written across his face. Hey, he said, setting down his briefcase. It's fine. I was already annoyed, already building my resentment brick by brick. He disappeared upstairs and returned with a wrapped box. Happy anniversary. I opened it. Inside was a first edition of The Secret Garden, my favorite childhood book. The pages smelled of history and care. There was a note in his handwriting. For Maya, who makes every day an adventure. Thank you for 5 years. Here's to forever. Something twisted in my chest. Guilt, maybe. Or recognition of something I was about to betray. It's beautiful, I said. Thank you. He kissed my forehead. I'm going to shower before everyone arrives. Guests started filtering in at 6. James Wu, Daniel's best friend from college, arrived with his wife. Mr. Peterson from Daniel's firm came with expensive wine. I watched Daniel transform into the perfect host, shaking hands, laughing at jokes, discussing his latest architectural designs with passion I never saw at home. Then Ryan walked in. He still wore that damn leather jacket. Still had that easy, careless smile that once made me feel alive. His eyes found mine across the room, and I felt that old pull. Daniel greeted him politely, extending his hand. Ryan, right? Maya mentioned you might come. Good to meet you. No tension. No jealousy. Just courtesy. It drove me crazy. I poured myself more wine. Then another glass. The evening blurred at the edges, and all I could think was, why doesn't he care? Why isn't he threatened? The party hummed around me, voices blending into meaningless noise. Daniel stood near the fireplace with James and Mr. Peterson, gesturing enthusiastically about some building project. His passion was visible, alive, just never for me anymore. You look lost in thought, Ryan said, appearing at my elbow. Just observing my own anniversary party like a stranger. Want to get some air? We slipped into the garden. The spring evening was cool, and I wrapped my arms around myself. You're even more beautiful than I remembered, Ryan said. Marriage suits you. Does it? I laughed bitterly. I feel invisible. That's crazy. You're the most vibrant person I know. You used to be so spontaneous, so wild. That was a long time ago. Doesn't have to be. He stepped closer. I've missed you, Maya. Missed your energy. You have a girlfriend, Lisa, right? She couldn't make it tonight. He shrugged. It's complicated. Everything with Ryan had always been complicated. Passionate, yes. Electric, absolutely. But also chaotic and exhausting. Still, in that moment, he made me feel seen. An idea crystallized in my wine-soaked brain. Reckless. Stupid. But desperate situations called for desperate measures. Let's go back inside, I said. We walked through the French doors into the living room. I positioned us perfectly. Daniel was 15 feet away, his back partially turned but visible in profile. James was mid-sentence about something. My heart hammered. This was insane. This was necessary. This would wake him up. I turned to Ryan and pulled him toward me. Our lips met. It lasted maybe 5 seconds, his familiar taste, the shock of the transgression, the wild hope that this would change everything. The room went silent. Conversation stopped mid-word. Someone gasped. I broke away and looked at Daniel. He was staring directly at me. Our eyes locked across the space between us. And in that endless moment, I saw everything I'd been hoping for and everything I'd destroyed. But he didn't yell. Didn't storm over. Didn't make a scene. His expression held disappointment so profound it felt physical. Recognition. Understanding. And worst of all, finality. Then he turned and walked upstairs. I wanted a reaction. I got one. Just not the kind you come back from. Mrs. Chen's face was frozen in horror. Sarah appeared at my side, her fingers digging into my arm. What did you do? Ryan stepped back, suddenly looking uncomfortable. I'm going to go. He left quickly, and I couldn't blame him. The room felt like a crime scene. James moved through the remaining guests with quiet efficiency. Thank you all for coming. I think we should call it a night. I started toward the stairs, but James blocked my path. His usual warmth was gone, replaced by something cold and protective. Give him space, he said. He's my husband. Is he? James's voice was quiet but cutting. After that? Aunt Margaret arrived then, fashionably late as always. She looked around at the dispersing crowd. The tension. What on earth happened? Mrs. Chen filled her in with harsh whispers. Aunt Margaret's gaze landed on me with pure disgust. You foolish girl, she said, then followed Mrs. Chen out the door. 20 minutes later, the house was empty. Half-eaten cake sat on the dining table. Champagne glasses with lipstick stains lined the counter. The white roses suddenly looked like funeral flowers. I tried texting Daniel. No response. I tried calling. I climbed the stairs, my heels heavy on each step. Our bedroom door was closed. I tried the handle. Locked. In 5 years of marriage, Daniel had never locked me out of any room. I stood there for a long time, my forehead pressed against the wood. Daniel? Please. Can we talk? Silence. I'm sorry. I needed you to see me. To care. Nothing. I slept on the couch that night, still wearing my party dress. The house creaked around me, suddenly unfamiliar. I kept replaying that moment. The look on his face. Not anger. Something worse. He'd looked at me like he was saying goodbye. Daniel moved into the guest room. I knew because I heard the door close Monday night after he came home late. Tuesday morning, I woke early and made his coffee exactly how he liked it. He'd already left for work. I tried leaving a note. Please talk to me. I love you. No response. Wednesday, I cooked pad thai, his favorite. I remembered his grandmother's recipe, the one that took 3 hours. I set the table for 2. He came home at 11. The food sat cold and untouched. Thursday afternoon, I called his cell. Maya. His voice was flat. Please come home at a normal time. We need to talk. I need space. How much space? I don't know yet. The line went dead. Sarah came over Thursday evening, letting herself in with the spare key I'd given her years ago. You look terrible, she said. Thanks. Maya, what were you thinking? I don't know. I collapsed onto the couch. I wanted him to react, to show me he still cared enough to be jealous. So you humiliated him in front of everyone he works with? Everyone who respects him? Sarah's voice was sharp. You didn't just kiss someone else. You performed your betrayal like a spectacle. The words hit like slaps. It wasn't supposed to. What? Go exactly the way it went? You kissed your ex at your anniversary party, Maya. What did you think would happen? I pulled up photos on my phone, scrolling through 5 years of memories. Our wedding day, Daniel looked at me like I was his entire world. Vacations, holidays, random Tuesday evenings. In every photo, his love was obvious. And in every photo, if I was honest, I could see my own dissatisfaction in my eyes. I texted Ryan. I think I ruined my life. The message turned green. He'd blocked me. Later, I learned Lisa had found out and given him an ultimatum. He'd chosen her without hesitation. Ryan was never a solution. He was an escape from a problem I'd created myself. I didn't want him. I wanted to feel important. And I destroyed the one person who always made me feel like I was. Sunday morning, Daniel finally agreed to talk. We sat across from each other at the dining table where we'd shared thousands of meals. He looked tired, but his posture was careful, controlled, already distant. Daniel, I'm so sorry. I was feeling neglected and I wanted your attention and I never meant. He held up his hand. Let me speak first. I nodded. Tears already building. Maya. I've worked 60-hour weeks to build the life you said you wanted. I bought this house because you loved the garden. I learned to cook Thai food because it reminded you of your grandmother. I wrote you notes every morning for 5 years. I showed you I loved you every single day. You did, but you needed grand gestures, drama, chaos. You needed me to perform my love like a show. And when I didn't, you decided to punish me. That's not. You didn't kiss him because you love him. You kissed him because you wanted to hurt me. His voice cracked slightly. And you succeeded. He slid an envelope across the table. My hands shook as I opened it. Divorce papers. Already filed. How is this already? It's only been 3 days. James's wife is a family lawyer. I've had 3 days to think clearly, Maya. For the first time in maybe years. He stood. I grabbed his hand desperately. Please don't do this, we can fix this. I'll go to counseling, I'll do anything. He looked down at our joined hands. I would have fought for you through anything. Illness, financial problems, even falling out of love. But I won't fight for someone who weaponizes my feelings. You turned our marriage into a game where I didn't know we were playing. He gently removed his hand from mine. Daniel. Sign the papers, Maya. It's over. He walked away. I heard the guest room door close. Final. I'd been so focused on what I wasn't getting that I never saw everything I had. Daniel moved out the following week. He was efficient and unemotional about it. Half the furniture disappeared while I was at work. He left the things I loved, took only what was his. Tom Bradley, his divorce lawyer, was professionally cold during our meetings. The proceedings were straightforward. No children. Assets divided fairly. Daniel asked for nothing except his freedom. I ran into Lisa at a coffee shop 3 weeks later. She was prettier than I'd imagined, confident in a way I'd never been. You're Maya, she said, approaching my table. I am. Ryan told me everything. She sat down uninvited. I almost left him. But I decided to give him another chance. That's good. Because unlike you, I know the difference between a mistake and a choice. The words cut deeper than she probably intended. Friends chose sides. Most chose Daniel. Couple friends we'd hung out with for years stopped calling. Sarah stayed, but her disappointment was visible every time we met. Mrs. Chen came to collect some of Daniel's remaining things. She looked at me with something between pity and contempt. My son loved you more than you deserved. I hope one day you learn what you lost. My mother called from Seattle after hearing about the divorce. Maya, sweetheart, what happened? I couldn't explain it. I made a mistake, Mom. What kind of mistake ends a marriage in 3 weeks? The kind that reveals you were never mature enough for marriage in the first place. Work became unbearable. The marketing firm was small. People had seen the social media posts from the party. Gossip spread. I requested a transfer to a different department, then eventually quit. I drove past Daniel's new apartment once. I parked across the street but couldn't bring myself to go up. I saw him walking with James one afternoon. He looked lighter. Not happy, exactly, but unburdened. I started therapy in week 6. Dr. Harrison asked me why I'd sabotaged my marriage. I don't know, I said. Yes, you do. I did. I'd been self-sabotaging my happiness long before that kiss. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. I'd moved to a smaller apartment in a less expensive part of town. Changed jobs. Started over. I saw Daniel at a bookstore in October. He was with a woman just friendly. Not romantic. But the ease between them hurt. He noticed me, gave a polite nod, continued his conversation. I was now just someone he used to know. Sarah's engagement party came in November. I sat at a table with strangers, realizing all our mutual friends had really been his friends. I overheard someone mention Daniel's firm winning a major award. Pride swelled in my chest, followed immediately by loss. I wasn't part of his successes anymore. I wrote him a letter I'd never send. Daniel, I'm sorry. Not just for the kiss, but for all the ways I took you for granted. For mistaking your steady love for indifference. For needing drama more than devotion. For not seeing you until you were already gone. You deserved better than me, you always did. I folded it and put it in my desk drawer. I got exactly what I asked for that night. I got a reaction. I got his attention fully on me for one final moment. And in that moment, I got to watch him decide I wasn't worth fighting for anymore. He wasn't wrong. Dr. Harrison's office became my confessional. Tell me about your childhood, he said during month 8. It was fine. Maya, we both know that's not true. I talked about my father's affairs, my mother's desperate attempts to keep his attention. The way I learned early that love was something you had to fight for, perform for, demand. You confused chaos with passion, Dr. Harrison said gently. You learned that love requires crisis to be real. But Daniel's love was real. Yes, and you couldn't recognize it because it was quiet. I attended my new company's holiday party alone. I watched couples interact, some genuinely connected, others performing. I could tell the difference now. I unblocked Ryan's number out of curiosity. His social media showed engagement photos. He looked happy. Lisa looked radiant. The irony wasn't lost on me. I found a box of Daniel's old notes while cleaning. I'd thrown them in a drawer years ago, thinking them sweet but unimportant. I read them all in one sitting. Maya, you looked beautiful sleeping this morning. Didn't want to wake you. Remember to pick up your prescription. I'll grab dinner on the way home. Love you. 5 years ago today you said yes. Best decision I ever made was asking. The quiet man I thought wasn't seeing me had been seeing me more clearly than anyone. I wrote to Mrs. Chen. I'm sorry for hurting Daniel. You were right about me. She responded briefly. I hope you grow from this. Not forgiveness, but acknowledgement. It was more than I deserved. I wrote to James and his wife. Thank you for your friendship. I'm sorry I destroyed it. No response. Some bridges, once burned, stay ashes. I was learning slowly that some consequences are permanent. 1 year after the anniversary party, I saw Daniel at a wedding. He was there with someone, a relationship that looked real and healthy. I watched from across the room as he laughed, genuinely unguarded in ways he'd stopped being with me. We ended up at the bar simultaneously. Maya, he said. I'm okay. You? Good. Really good. Polite. Distant. Civil. Nothing left unsaid because everything that mattered was said in that one look a year ago. You look happy, I said. I am. He glanced back at his date. Are you seeing anyone? Casually. Nothing serious. That's good. An awkward pause. Of course. It was good seeing you, Daniel. You too. He walked away, and I watched him go for the final time. I spent years with a man who loved me completely. And I convinced myself it wasn't enough, because it was quiet. I wanted fireworks. I got them. They burned everything down. Daniel's love language was never neglect. It was consistency, reliability, showing up every day without fanfare. I needed the show. He needed a partner. We were always going to fail. My life now is smaller, lonelier, but more authentic. I date occasionally without desperation. I'm building friendships based on substance. I'm learning to be enough for myself. That kiss lasted 5 seconds. The look he gave me afterward will last forever, not because it was cruel, but because it was clear. He saw exactly who I was in that moment, and he chose himself. It was the most loving thing he could have done for either of us. I just wish I'd learned to love him properly when I had the chance. Some mistakes don't get fixed. Some doors, once closed, don't open again. And sometimes the person you lose isn't the villain of your story, they're the hero who finally saved themselves from you.